All right. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. Okay. I hope everyone's having a good morning. It's right at 8 o'clock. So we will go ahead and get started. In Come Follow Me this week, we're talking about Doctrine and Covenants sections 6 through 9. And I mean, these are such powerful sections about teaching us about personal revelation. But one scripture that is just really ingrained in me is section 6, verse 36. Look unto me in every thought. Doubt not, fear not. And so I thought today we would play with that focusing of our thoughts by experimenting with mantra. Mantra means mind tool. That's, it means, so it's just a tool to help focus our minds. And Jesus says many times in the scriptures, if our eye be single to his glory, then our whole bodies will be filled with light, that we will not be afraid, that we will be filled with faith. And it's that continually bringing our thoughts back to him. And in yoga, when you use a mantra, you attach a word or phrase, usually to your breath, to the inhale and exhale. And I just want to read to you a little bit about the name of Christ, Yahweh, the Hebrew name. In ancient Hebrew, right, Hebrew doesn't write vowels. They just put the consonants. And so Yahweh, or Jehovah, that's been passed down and translated into many different languages, was YHVH. Those all are consonants, right? They don't have much of a sound to them. And they're all open-mouthed consonants. If you try to say, we would pronounce their V as a W, wah, wah, right? If you try to say this YHWH, it's just a breath, right? And Jewish scholars are starting to think that unspeakable name of God wasn't unspeakable because it was too sacred to speak, but because it was just the sound of a breath. That the very act of breathing, we are chanting that name of God. That exhale and that inhale that is nurturing and keeps us alive, right? That the name of God is the breath of life. So for a few moments here at the beginning of our practice, I just want you to sit with that breath and let your breath be a mantra. Now you can use the word Yahweh or Jehovah if that is more familiar to you and easier to attach your mind to. I often like to just use Jesus Christ, and sometimes it's Jesus on the inhale, Christ on the exhale. or simply listen to the sound of your breath, which itself, right, is your connection to God. That breath of life is a mantra in and of itself. It's a name of God. You can breathe in and out of your nose, and you can even find a slight constriction just in the back of your throat. So you hear your breath come in through your nose and down your throat like a ocean-like sound. And as you exhale, you can keep that just really slight constriction so you can hear your breath as it comes out of your lungs, up your throat, out your nose. And just take one more breath here. And we'll come back to this at the end of our practice. And come onto your bellies. We're going to start laying on our bellies. You make sure I have my clock on so I know what time it is. So lay down on your belly with your hands stacked and your forehead on your hands. And just return to your breath. You can find that slight constriction in the back of your throat so you can hear. And feel your rib cage expand against the floor underneath you. You can feel your belly expand with your breath. And let your back ribs expand and your rib cage expand out to the sides. This prone, laying on your belly breath with your arms in this position is really helpful to get you into diaphragmatic breathing. Because those upper chest and shoulder muscles that often want to help us breathe, but actually create a lot of stress and tension, they're really inhibited here with our arms in this position. And it's just more natural to use your diaphragm. Right, and inviting that breath all the way down into the lowest lobes of your lungs. And take one more full inhale. And exhale here, and then we'll start to find some movement. So anchor down through your pelvis. So push your pubic bone toward the floor. It probably won't touch the floor, that's fine. But anchor and kind of lengthen your tailbone toward your heels. So you'll feel your lower belly turn on. Lengthen through your right leg and then just lift your right leg up, but keep your pelvis down. So lift that right leg up, use your glute, the whole back of that right leg, and then lower. And switch sides. Lift your left leg up. Use your glute and your hamstring, the whole back of that leg, and lower. Now you may feel this in your lower back. If you're really feeling this in your lower back, push more into your pubic bone and focus on using your glute and just switch from side to side. Just right leg and then left leg. And keeping your pelvis grounded so both of your hip points stay on the floor. You're not rocking at all. And keeping your head relaxed down on your stacked hands. After you've done your left side, so we're even on both sides, push down into your pubic bone, lengthen your tailbone, so kind of feel like you're pointing your tailbone towards your heels, and then lift both legs. And we'll do that 3 or 4 times. And just lifting both of your legs, really engaging and strengthening through that back body.
And now find the opposite effort in your lower body. So you're going to push the tops of your feet into the floor. Really anchor as much as you can through your legs. Anchor your legs to the floor. Keep your hands in the exact position that they are. Let your elbows stay wide. Push down into your pubic bone. And you're going to lift your hands up off the floor. Lift your head and chest. And then lower down. Lift and lower. Just do 2 more there. Lift and lower. Push down into your legs, down into your pubic bone. Last lift. And then you can lift your gaze. Just bring your hands underneath your shoulders and push yourself up onto hands and knees. And from here, just play with your wrists. You can lift your palms a few times, and keeping your forefingers down. Move your hands out to the sides. These are parts our hands and wrists don't get much load. And so it's nice to find some preparation. Turn your fingers another way. Rock from side to side. Walk your hands around. And then turn your palms face up and bring the backs of your hands to the floor. Let your fingers face each other. And then let your elbows go wide and bring your chest toward your fingers and then push them up. And stretch and strengthen your wrists this way. Try to spread your fingers wide, thumbs toward the floor. Just do that one more time. And then come back to just regular hands and knees. Inhale and reach your right arm straight forward. So your biceps alongside your ear. And then bend that right elbow and just tap at the base of your neck, the upper back. And then reach long. And you'll swim that right arm out to the side. And internally rotate your shoulder and then bend your elbow and float your right hand above your lower back. And then swim it back. Straight forward, bend your elbow and tap your upper back. So just swim back and forth here, slow and controlled. Try not to find a big arch in your back. So lift your lower front ribs up. And slow and controlled movement with this arm. Reach around. Next time your right hand floats above your back, you can be done. And bring your right hand down and just switch sides. So lengthen your left arm right alongside your ear. And notice what's happening in your spine. See if you can soften those front ribs up and in. Bend your elbow and then reach long. Swim it around and then bend your elbow, float the back of that left hand above your lower back. And swim back around. You're just exploring that range of motion in that shoulder and using your active range of motion. So the part that you can control with your muscular strength. Next time that left hand floats above your lower back, you can just swim back around and bring your hands to the floor. Tuck your toes and then sit back toward your heels. Now this may be really intense for some of us, and that's okay. I always have to grab my pinkies and get them folded over. If this is just way too much, you can come up higher or just untuck your toes altogether. But it's so good for us to stretch this plantar fascia on the bottoms of our feet. Take your arms out into a cactus. So you've got goalpost arms here. And then give yourself a hug with your right elbow underneath. Just reach toward your shoulder blades, tuck your chin, and then open back out. And left elbow underneath, give yourself a hug and tuck your chin. And then unwind. And then come up to a standing kneel. You can keep your toes tucked or untuck them.
And bring your hands just right on your heart. Lengthen and stay straight through your spine. We're just going to hinge right at our knees to lean back and come forward. So you'll probably feel some effort in your quads. Lean back and come forward. And try that 2 more times. Lean back and come forward. Lean back and come forward. And then reach your arms long. Imagine you're doing a pull-up. So grab a bar, imaginary bar with your hands. Pull that bar down behind your neck. So really you're engaging underneath your shoulder blades and all through your back. And then draw your elbows together. And then reach up. We're just going to do that one more time. Pull that imaginary bar down. Draw your elbows together and find an opening through your heart. And then maybe bring your hands into the back pockets of your imaginary jeans. Draw your elbows toward each other and lengthen up through your heart. Release that. And step your right foot forward into a lunge. And you can just play here in your lunge a few times. You can tuck your back toes if that feels more supportive for that left knee. And if knee down stuff is tender on your knees, you can always find a folded towel or blanket to put under your knee. Just play one more time there, just kind of deepening and then coming out. Inhale to reach your arms high. And then drop your right arm down, lengthen through your left arm, and just find a side bend over to your right. So lots of length through your left side body. And then come upright. Left arm forward, right arm back, and find a big open twist. And then tip your left hand toward the floor. You can come on fingertips or fist or hand to the floor. You might scoot your left knee back a little bit and just find a big open twist here. And then bend through your left knee. Bring your left heel towards your bum and then lengthen. So it really strengthen through that left hamstring. Do that one more time. Maybe reach back with your right hand for that left foot. Just stretch through your quad and then see if you can pull that foot a little bit closer and then keep it there. Let go. Always creates a hamstring cramp for me, and then release. Take your right knee back and then hips to heels, find a child's pose. Knees as wide as feels comfortable in your hips. Forehead toward the floor, it doesn't need to touch the floor. Just kind of lengthen through your back. You can sway from side to side. And then slide back onto your belly. Reach your right arm forward and your left arm back. Now, those swimming arms that we did in our table earlier, we're going to do here on our bellies. Push down into your pubic bone, lift your head and chest, lift both legs, lift your arms. Now you'll bend your left elbow to have your left hand hover over your lower back and bend your right elbow so your right hand hovers behind your neck. And then reach both arms long and switch. And think about being really long from your toes out through the crown of your head. And just swim your arms around here. Stay connected to your breath. So you're going to remind yourself of that inhale and exhale. Do one last time, end with your right hand hovering over your lower back. And then release. Bring one cheek to the floor. Just let your arms fall in a comfortable place. And then lift your head. Just turn the other cheek to the floor so your neck kind of relaxes in a different position. And then look forward. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Just push yourself back up onto your hands and knees. And really tuck your tailbone under. Push the floor away. Spread your shoulder blades. You can tuck your chin. And then drop your belly. Lift your sitting bones. Lift your gaze. Lift your collarbones.
And go back and forth here and connect it with your breath. So one is an inhale and the other is an exhale. Next time you've rounded your back, walk your hands back towards your knees, tuck your toes, sit on those heels, maybe, or you can be up. Just stretch through your feet. Open your arms out to that cactus shape again. Give your hug with your right elbow underneath. You can stay here, or you could bring the backs of your hands together, or even wrap your right fingertips into your left palm. And just stretch your shoulders here, shoulders away from your ears. Unwind your arms out. Give yourself a hug with the left elbow underneath. Maybe bring the backs of your hands together or loop those left fingers into your right palm. Smile into the bottoms of your feet. And then release your arms. Come up to that standing kneel. Hands at your heart and just find your leans. Lean back and forward. And you can play with it with toes tucked or untucked. See what feels most useful for you. And then come on up. Reach your arms high and then pull that bar down. Really engage through that whole back body. And then bring your hands into your back pockets. Draw your elbows together, lift your heart. Maybe even look back. And then come upright. Step your left foot forward into your lunge. And you can play with the lunge here. And experiment with what feels best for you, toes tucked or untucked on that back leg. And then come up to a pretty stable lunge, reach your arms high. Drop your left hand down and then side bend over to your left. Reach long through that right side. Right arm forward, left arm back, big open twist. And then tip your right hand to the floor. Left arm high. You might sneak your right knee back a little bit further. And then bend your right knee and then lengthen. So you're really engaging through that right hamstring. Do that 2 or 3 times. And then you can play with maybe grabbing that foot and finding a quad stretch there. If you've got your foot with your hand, you can pull your foot in closer, engage through the back of that leg, try to keep your foot there. Swim your arm forward, and then let go of that effort in your right leg. Step your left knee back, push back into your child's pose. Breathe into your lower back here. And then slide forward onto your tummy. Hands along the widest part of your chest. Okay. Push into the tops of your feet. Push into your pubic bone. Inhale to lift your head and chest. And then float your hands up off the floor. Really feel strong through that back body. Now we're going to keep flexing through your wrists, but then lengthen your elbows back. And then bend your elbows a bit and let your hands hover. And do that a couple of times, really engaging through your triceps. Next time your hands come to hover, you can plant them by your chest, draw your shoulder blades together, and then maybe lengthen your heart a little higher. Feel like you're pulling your hands back, and then push yourself up into your table, onto your hands and knees. We're going to keep our spine still and draw your shoulder blades together. So your spine stays still, you're just moving your shoulders. Now push the floor away and spread your shoulder blades apart. And draw your shoulder blades together. And then spread your shoulder blades apart. And do that a few times here. So trying to keep your rib cage still, your belly, your pelvis are all still, your arms are straight. You're just moving through your shoulders, your shoulder blades. And do that one more time. And then tuck your toes. Come on back to sit on your heels. Open your arms into your cactus. And then right elbow underneath. You can either wind up into these eagle arms or give yourself a hug. And then open wide again. And switch left elbow underneath. Either eagle arms or a big hug. And then release your arms. Come up to that standing kneel. We'll just do 2 leans. Lean straight back and come forward. Straight back and come forward. Reach your arms up and then pull that imaginary bar down. Keep that engagement in your back. And then find your lean back. Lengthen your arms and maybe bring them in your back pockets, or maybe your heels are there. And then you can push your pelvis forward. Either way, you're really strong through your back body. You're not crunching in your lower back. And then bring one hand to your hip, other hand to your hip. Come on up. Untuck your toes. Step your right foot into your lunge. And you can just experiment a couple of times here. Reach your arms high. And then exhale your hands down to frame that right foot. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee. And then you'll step your left foot closer to your left hand, about a footprint, and ground your heel. So now your left foot is kind of at a 30-degree angle. Float your hands back by your hips, push down into that right heel, and then come straight up. So your hips are working towards square, toward the front, the short edge of your mat here. We're in warrior 1. Reach your arms high. And really find length from that left heel all the way up through your left fingertips. But don't let your front ribs splay out. See if you can soften those lower front ribs down. Shoulders away from your ears. And then you can push your thumbs back, broaden through your collarbones. And then exhale to release your arms. And just grab for your forearms or elbows behind your back. Straighten through that right leg, and then bend it. And straighten, and bend. And straighten, and bend. And now straighten that right leg. Draw your right outer hip back and lead with your heart. Just lean your straight spine forward and come back up. And you might find a different trajectory every time. We're going to lean forward and come back up. Broad through your collarbones, you're opening through your heart. And bring your awareness back to your breath. And you may find a little more length every time, but you want to go to a place that you can control, that you can come back up with control. Go ahead and lean forward. You can pause there. And then bend your right knee, release your arms. Just plant your hands to the floor and step your right foot back into a downward facing dog. So we're in a big upside down V. Rock yourself forward to a plank. And just take a breath or two there. Feel really long. So remember that length of your lower back. Tailbone pointing towards your heels. And then knees to the floor. Push your hips back into a child's pose. You can sway your hips from side to side. And then slide forward onto your belly again. Hands along that widest part of your chest. Push into the tops of your feet. Push into your pubic bone. Draw your shoulders away from your ears and your shoulder blades toward each other. And then lift your head and chest, but then float your hands. So find that really active engagement through your back body. Then you can ground your hands, Draw your elbows in. Feel like you're pulling your hands back to lift up a little higher in your cobra. And then lower down. Come onto your forearms. So on your belly with your forearms on the floor. And just kitty corner your right forearm and bend your left knee. And you can reach back with your left hand for that left foot. And find whatever works for your shoulder. So you can have your fingers pointing toward that left knee, or you could rotate your left fingers out to the left, bend through that left elbow. You could even rotate your fingers to go the same direction as your toes. Just listen to your shoulder and what feels interesting and friendly there. And then release. We'll just switch sides. So just do that same quad stretch on the other side. Bend your right knee. Reach back for your foot. And just find the variation of your hand placement that feels good in that right shoulder. And then release. And bring your hands underneath your shoulders, push yourself up onto your table, and then right back into those tucked toes, sitting. Open your arms into your cactus, right elbow underneath, and find your hug or eagle arms. And then switch, left elbow underneath, and then release. Come on up, reach high. And then we're just gonna find our lean back and swim your left hand back, maybe to tap your left heel. And then come on up. And then lean back, maybe right hand taps your right heel. Just go back and forth. And then release your hands down. Step your right foot forward into your lunge. And keep your left hips stacked over your left knee this time. I've got my left toes tucked. And just take your left arm up, and you can swing it around. Maybe bring it to your lower back and reach your right arm high. Or maybe take your left hand to your left heel. Just do what feels good in your back. And find some engagement of kind of feeling like you're pulling your left knee and your right heel toward each other. And then use that right arm to come on up. Bring your hands to frame that right foot. And lift your right knee. Ground your left heel, and come up to your warrior one again on the other side. Actually, we're just on our right side. We already did this one. So go ahead and bring your hands down. Ground that right knee. Left knee, and step your left foot forward. Let's just find that same lunge on the other side. Tuck your right toes and reach your right arm back and up. Find your lean here and maybe reach for your lower back or your heel. You can lengthen your left arm up and find this on the other side. And then use that left arm to come on up. Let's bring our hands down. Lift your right knee and then step that foot just about a footprint forward and ground your heel. And now come up for your warrior one on the other side. Reach your arms high. So find some length by pushing into that right heel out through your right fingertips. And then take your hands and grab for forearms or elbows behind your back. Lengthen and bend that left leg. Bring it long and bend. Lengthen and bend. Lengthen and bend. And then lengthen. Push into that left big toe ball mound to draw your left outer hip back, and then reach forward with your heart to fold with a flat back
any amount. So we're just folding as far as you can come up with control. So it may not be very far, and that's fine, right? We're building length and strength at the same time, and you can aim your heart in a different direction with every fold. And then come down to a flat back. You can pause here. And then release your hands to the floor. You can bend through your left knee. Step back to your downward facing dog. And then from here, just bring your knees to the floor. Find your plank. And then your child's pose. Slide forward onto your belly. And bring your hands back alongside your hips. Lift your head and shoulders up off the floor. Push down into your pubic bone. Float your arms back and really reach long. Lift both legs and then bend your knees. And you can just reach your fingers towards your ankles or feet, or you could grab onto your tops of your feet or your ankles. Draw your big toes toward each other, knees track hip distance apart, and then really push your feet into your hands if you've got a hold of them. Lengthen through your lower back. And then release. Bring your forehead to your hands again and bend your knees. Just windshield wiper those knees from side to side. And then release that. Look up, hands underneath your shoulders. Come through your table. Tuck your toes. Sit on your heels. And then come right up to your standing kneel. Do one last back bend. Reach your arms high. And then pull that bar down behind your neck. So you're really engaging behind your shoulder blades, all the way down your back. And then find your lean back. Engage through the backs of your legs, and you can drop your hands, bring your hands to your back pockets or to your heels. And then you can start to stack your hips over your knees. You've got that engagement and support through the whole back of your body. Wide open through your heart. Big space for your breath. And then bring one hand to your hip, other hand to your hip. Untuck your toes and just kneel. Bring your palms face up. And just feel that blast of energy from that wide open heart. From here, just shift your hips over to the right and just let your feet fall how they will. So your left hip will probably come off the floor. I've got my right toes in the arch of my left foot, but really the arrangement of your feet doesn't matter. Bring your left hand outside your right knee, right hand behind you, and just find a twist. Look over your back shoulder, and then you can look over your front shoulder and really ground through that back hand. Untwist your head, untwist your torso, and just shift your hips all the way over to the other side. Right hand outside your left knee, left hand behind you, and find your twist the other way. And then maybe look over your front shoulder for a breath or two. Grounding down through that back hand to lengthen through your neck. Unwind your head, unwind your body. Lengthen your legs out in front of you. And notice what's happening with your pelvis. If your tailbone is really tucked underneath you, then bend your knees enough that you can sit high on your sitting bones. Okay. So that your tailbone is free. You can even reach back and see if you can find your tailbone. If your tailbone's really tucked underneath you, then bend your knees enough. Or you could sit on something to just give your pelvis a little bit of a lift. So we're really honoring the integrity of our spine here. Knees bent any amount, and then you can lead with your heart to fold. And just find a forward fold and breathe into your lower back. And you can kind of back out with an inhale, and then maybe fold a little more with your exhale. And return to that mantra or mind tool, to the truth that your breath is always chanting the name of God. And go ahead and come on up. And you can either lay down on your back to rest, or you can find a comfortable seat as we sit with our breath for just a few minutes to end. So if you're laying on your back, find a way that's really comfortable for you. You could have knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and then knees knocked together in constructive rest. Or you could let your legs go long. If you're sitting, just find a place where your knees and hips are in roughly the same level. Your knees aren't super high, so you're not bringing a whole lot of tension. So you can sit on something. And then just close your eyes and feel your body breathing. Look unto me in every thought. Doubt not, fear not. Just feel your body breathe in and breathe out. And find that mantra, name of Christ that really resonates with you, that feels personal and intimate. Connect that with your breath. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. Just find a sense of an inner smile and gratitude. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. I bow to you, friends. Namaste. Thank you.